Hello and welcome back. Last time we looked at how to hardscape your first aquarium. If you haven't seen it, the links will be attached below as well as at the end of this video. So today we will go through how I planted my first aquarium, the plants I chose, where I placed them, what I would have done differently. I've been planning this aquarium for quite a long time. This was at least a couple of years in the making for very circumstantial reasons. It has given me a lot of time to think about what I want and how I want it to look. So I went to my local fish store and this is what I got. What I ended up getting was Java Fern Nero, Limnophilia sessiliflora, Hydrocotyle tripartita Japan, Bacopa monieri compact, Anubias nana petite, Ranunculus inundatus, Rotella rotundifolia hra, and Macranthemum tweedii, otherwise known as Monte Carlo. I chose the Java Fern as my mid-ground plant, as I wanted it to fill in the middle of the scape with a lot of fan-like structure. Ambulia, better known by its scientific name Limnophilia sessiliflora, is a stem plant that I will be using for the background. This plant is very fast growing. It grows a new node or a new layer of leaves in one day. It is great for a new aquarium as it absorbs a lot of extra nutrients, speeds up the nitrogen cycle, and stabilizes water parameters very quickly. Hydrocotyle tripartita or moneywort is a very delicate parsley or clover-like plant that goes very well in the fore or mid-ground. It will sway gently in your water column, adding softness to your scape. It also contrasts very well with Anubias or Bucephalandra, which are tough, hardy plants. So if you put them right next to each other, it really brings out the features of each of the other plants. Bacopa monieri is a sturdy stem plant that I'm going to use to fill in one side of my tank. And did you know that this plant is used in Ayurvedic medicine for clarity of thought? And you can even buy supplements for it. In retrospect, though, I could have done without Bacopa and replaced it with something like Rotella bonsai, which is a bit more decorative. The Bacopa is just growing a bit straggly and a bit too tight, and it's not doing anything for the side of my tank as far as looks and aesthetics are concerned. Anubias nana petite is a definite must-have for me. It is a low-light, easy-to-maintain plant that is slow-growing and very sturdy, kind of like a terrestrial succulent. But that's not to say it won't do well with high-light CO2 and fertilizers. It will. And you can see that mine have grown very well in 6 months. Ranunculus inundatus. It sounds like a spell casted by Harry Potter. This was a last-minute impulse buy. I was picking up my plants, saw this, and I knew I just had to have it. It has celery-like leaves and creates a very umbrella-like covering in whatever area you planted it. Baby shrimps and shy creatures love hiding under the cover of ranunculus. The tip here is once you plant it, don't move it. Let the roots take hold and spread, and it is similar to hydrocotyle in terms of delicateness. Rotella rotundifolia hra is a stem plant I'm using for one half of my background. In videos and pictures I've seen, it goes really blood red, but I was never able to achieve that. I don't know why. The most I got was a deep pink, but I'm happy with that. However, if you have Rotella hra and yours is deep red, do let me know how you managed to get it to achieve that color. Last but not least is the very popular carpeting plant Macranthemum tweedii, better known as Monte Carlo. It really lends itself to escape by creating scale. Its small leaves will make your scape seem bigger when contrasted against driftwood and rocks. Just keep in mind, Monte Carlo does take a while to carpet. It took mine about 6 weeks to spread out over an area, but not before the original leaves withered and decayed first, otherwise known in the hobby as melting. Monte Carlo does require high light, CO2, and liquid fertilization. So prepping the plants is fairly straightforward. For the plants that come in a cup, all you have to do is remove it, give it a rinse to wash away the growth media, and gently start pulling it apart. With Monte Carlo, you would want to separate them into small clumps so that it will be easy to push them into the substrate with your tweezers. I placed all the Monte Carlo on a soaking wet paper towel, wrapped it up after I was done, and placed it in a pail of water while I worked on the other plants. The Rotella was much easier to work with, as it has long thin strands which was easy to separate and plant deep into the substrate. The ranunculus was a bit trickier, as it was long, spindly, and the plants grew sideways. So I had to pick a small bunch and just push it into the soil, making sure that the roots are in the soil. Ranunculus did take quite a while to grow, around 6 weeks or so before I actually saw any new growth. I was actually worried that it wasn't going to make it, but fortunately it did. Java fern is one of the plants that came in a pot. So just so you know, Java ferns are epiphytes, and that means that they need to be tied or glued to driftwood or rock. Do not plant Java fern in the soil as they will die. Their roots need to be in the water column. As you can see, one pot of Java fern can be separated into a few pieces to be placed around your tank. There is no need to plant the entire plant in one spot. This is a great way to save money. Anubias nana petite, like Java fern, is also an epiphyte. This was not a cheap plant to buy. Each small pot was around $13 Canadian plus taxes, so around $15 per pot. At first, I thought I had to buy many pots if I wanted to fill a certain portion of my scape with it. And furthermore, the guy at the store told me I should plant it as a whole plant and not cut it up. However, I decided to take the risk and separate them into smaller pieces. I figured that if they were that hardy, they would be able to withstand the cutting. The most important thing is to find a rhizome, the horizontal rootstock from which the plant grows from. And once you've located it, use a very sharp knife and cut it cleanly. This is the area where you'll be gluing it to the rock or driftwood surfaces. And make sure the roots are also not clumped together and free floating so that they can absorb nutrients from the water column. So what started out as 3 Anubiases now became 13 smaller pieces. I'm happy to say that after 6 months, all the plants are thriving beautifully and the cutting was a success. I'll spare you the preparation of the other plants as they all go by the same principle and logic. Planting turned out to be exhausting. My advice is, give yourself at least a couple of hours depending on what you're planning to create. Don't rush it and take your time. It will be a chore to have to redo it later. Also, have a clear plan on where you want the plants and in what steps you want it to progress. Writing it down or making a simple drawing will really help a lot. Here are some quick tips before planting. Number 1. Glue or attach the epiphytes first. In this case, it will be the Java ferns and the Anubiases. They can stand being out of the water longer than the other more delicate plants. Number 2, plant the carpeting plants next. For me, that would be the Monte Carlo. It is much easier to plant carpeting plants when the tank is dry than when it is filled with water. Number 3, plant the stem plants last. They tend to be more delicate and will dry out a lot quicker. Number 4, spray the plants constantly to keep them moist. Some of these plants can dry out and die within the hour, and planting took me a couple of hours. So once all your planting is done and you are satisfied with how it all looks, it is time to fill your tank with water. Place some paper towel, a plastic bag, or a vegetable colander in your tank so that the stream of water does not disrupt your sand and soil or dislodge your plants. Again, take your time with this. You did all the hard work of planting and designing your scape, so no need to rush this last simple step. Once your tank is full, you can start your filter, add water conditioner and dechlorinator, and sit back and admire your handiwork. Now all you have to do is let your plants grow, monitor your water parameters in the coming weeks, and do regular water changes to make sure the ammonia that is being released from your aqua soil is kept at manageable levels. Do not add livestock immediately after planting. There will be way too much ammonia in your water at this time, and ammonia is toxic to animals. Overall, your tank will take about 4 to 6 weeks before there is enough beneficial bacteria growth in your filter to break down the ammonia and maintain your nitrogen cycle. After that, it will be safe to add livestock. So, how was your first planting experience? Was it easy? Did you enjoy it? Would you do it again? I would love to hear from you. I hope you enjoyed this video about how to plant your first aquarium. I'm going to leave you with a few uninterrupted minutes of all the life that grew in the tank. In the meantime, if you enjoyed this, please leave a like and subscribe for more of this content. Thanks everyone.